Hey yo, I got a video here of a dude who's just straight up telling the biggest lies on South African internet, man. Listen to this.
One who's selling Kotas making over 580,000 rand a month. No, on a 40
580,000 rands a month selling Kota.
580,000 rands a month selling Kotas. Let's keep listening.
Kotas.
Yeah. Out of a 6 meter by 4 meter zinc container or umkuku, if you would like to have it, and which is why I will always then be driven
In a 6 by 4 meter container. You know, the funniest thing is that I've ran a Kota business in a little strange partnership with some person once upon a time, and I know the business. Like for 2 years, we were running a business where Kotas were being made. We had a pretty busy-ish location, and these numbers can't make sense for nothing. Maybe we'll pull out a calculator just now and listen, but maybe let's hear if he's got a bit more explanation of how he does this. I mean, this is a pretty big claim. Step up and explain how you do it.
and around saying that money is not in glamour. So we want glamorous things, but they're not. And that's why we continue to undermine the township. I mean, I look at years ago, now it's probably just changed now.
Yeah.
But 16 years ago or years ago, when you tried to employ someone, I remember I hired someone and they would have preferred to work for a big wholesaler or rather.
So he's not talking about the 580,000 rands and how he does it. He's talking about an employee. He's run away from his statement. Do you see it?
Supermarket wholesaler,
Yeah.
and earn almost a third or 2/3 of what we're going to give them, purely because it's a reputable brand.
Yeah.
So it still carried that perception. But for me, it becomes then also equally important for people who come from the township, who live in the township, to understand the power that is in their rand, whether it's 1 rand, whether it's 5 rand, whether it's 30 rand. And being very aware means that you become deliberate about where you spend that money.
The conscious consumer.
Which brands do I then spend the money on? And my argument or
And then it just degenerates into a convoluted explanation about where you spend your rand, how much it's worth, who you're giving it to. I thought he's going to go deep into how he made 580,000 rands selling Kotas. But let's just pull out the calculator one moment and have a look at what you actually must do to generate numbers like those, right? So here's a good old calculator over here. 580,000 divided by 31 days. That's 18,700 daily. Let's say you're doing this for 15 hours a day. So that means you got to get 1,247 per hour. And then how would you get 1,200 from 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock? What would you have to do? Well, how would you have to perform on a time scale? Okay, let's break up an hour into its minutes. So now, you need to sell 1 Kota every minute. That costs around 20 rand and 78 cents. You dig? Every single minute, from the time you're open to the time you're closed, from the start of every hour to the end of every hour, you are selling a Kota for 20 rand 80 cents. Now let's just calculate it backward then to see if this number is indeed telling the truth. So that's 20 rand 78 multiplied by 60 minutes. That's 1,247. Multiplied then by 15 hours in that shift. Now we're back at 18,700 per day. Then multiplied by 31 days. That brings us back to his 580,000 rand. It's impossible, yo. It's a lie. But you tell me what you think of dudes who are trying to make the township look like it's got more money, or dudes who are trying to look like they can pull the money out of the township greater than a way that has ever been known, you know? Where do they get their potatoes from? How quickly do potatoes cook in a fryer? Did you get these potatoes from the same guy who sold Jack the beans that grew the beanstalk that went up to heaven? You're just pumping out Kota every single minute. You're not cooking. You're not peeling. There isn't a natural scientific limit to how quickly a Russian can be cooked, a Vienna can be cooked, chips can be cooked. How many people must you have standing in front of your counter during that time? So every minute somebody's getting a Kota. That's a long ass queue. That's a very long queue. Aye.